Okay, let's get some of these questions on the go. Should I get a gold Ryan hammer? It's a pretty sweet looking weapon and it goes well with the skin. Have you guys seen the leak for the Asian skins? There's actually like a big samurai looking robot Reinhardt as well. That looks badass. Any chance for Widowmaker coaching the main next time? I don't think I actually have Widowmaker coaching. I don't think I have Widowmaker footage full stop. Winston gameplay. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have any footage from a Widowmaker. So, no coaching the many of a Widowmaker. If someone sends in some Widowmaker footage, I'm willing to do it. Let's send it in. What flavor ice cream is Reinhardt? Ooh, it's a big stout German flavor. Like, it would be like a beer flavored ice cream. It'd be like manly ice cream. Best streamer to watch for Soldier 76 play? Bromas. If Bromas streams, he used to a lot. I don't know if he still does. Bromas would be really good. Tavik. Definitely go and watch Tavik. Very, very good soldier. Loves playing soldier. Tavik is probably the guy I recommend the most, and he streams a lot, so go watch Tavik if you can. Shore 4 is another good one. If you're an American, you want to get someone more to your time. Shore 4, definitely. Harry Hug as well. Yeah, very, very good. All of them. Mr. Artie's got it right. Tavik, Shore 4, Harry Hug. And I'd throw Bromas in there as well. Bromas was just always a big Soldier 76 player. Any advice for surviving your Reinhardt charges when you're Reinhardt charges from Ilios to Route 66? If your Reinhardt is charging away, just be aware that you are terrified. And you're going to be scared. If you guys haven't seen the skins, I'll try and find the leak I saw, because it's really cool looking. But if your Reinhardt is charging away, just try it, and if he does catch someone, try and make it work. Like, try and, you know, if he catches someone, try and shoot at whoever he's charging at while he's charging them. It's just a very good idea. This is it. Not the best quality image, but there you go. It's the thing I saw. Reinhardt, Zenyatta, Winston, Roadhog. Love that Roadhog skin. 24th. Look at that Reinhardt skin. Fucking hell. Reinhardt didn't need better skins, but there it is. Yeah, so if Reinhardt's doing that, try and make it work. Otherwise, like, you just realize that there's not much you can do. You've just got to try and fan out, spread out. Like, you've got to do a delta split, right, once the Reinhardt's gone, because then they're just going to tunnel damage into you if the enemy team is smart, or they'll finish off Reinhardt and then kill all of you. So try and find cover, just try and play as if you don't have a Reinhardt, and try and remind Reinhardt, well, Reinhardt, slow down, you know, let us deal the damage first, and then when the barrier goes down, charge him. Maybe he's charging him for a reason you don't expect as well. Like, quite often, Reinhardts will charge when the barrier dies. And I've been that Reinhardt myself, for example, where my barrier's been dying fast, so I've charged, and then my team's gone like, why have you charged? Why have you charged? It's like, well, my barrier is just dead, so I'm not able to do anything because they're winning the barrier war. If more people came behind it and just shot at their barrier, I don't have to do that anymore. And so there's usually like a bit of a dialogue that can happen, a bit of explanation. When should you fire strike is a complex question. Basically, especially when you're learning and when like you don't feel you have a full grasp of like perfect fire striking, resist the temptation to fire strike on every single goddamn cooldown, because the amount of times when, like, if your team is behind you and you fire strike, the amount of times that like Anna will just die because something's gone through and just headshot her, or someone will just get picked off. Like, your team is not prepared for you to fire strike, and unless you announce to say, guys, I'm going to fire strike in a second, even when you do that, people could still just die, unless like there's a diva there covering for you or something like that. Don't fire strike if your team is locked in a battle. Just resist the urge to do it. Good time to fire strike is like when you jump around a corner, fire strike as you land and then bring the barrier up, and then just keep the barrier up. Try and catch as many people as you can in the fire strike. Be very careful about fire striking when there's a Zarya. A good tip when they have a Zarya is actually fire strike and intentionally like hit a wall beside them, because the Zarya will see the fire strikes on its way, will put a barrier up onto the Reinhardt barrier on itself and try and catch it. And if you're intentionally like shooting a wall, so let's say like there's a choke point. Let me bring up my OBS so I can see that I'm doing this right. Let's say there's a choke point here. You want to like hit here. And so they could see the fire strike coming, and then it hits the wall, and they've just wasted the barriers and not got any value out of that. You know how highly the SR rates being the wall? Trying to understand that question. Okay, well, how do you tell when to be an aggressive Reinhardt or not? Experience helps. it all depends on how much can you give by swinging, okay? How much can you do when you are swinging? That's the context you got to think in terms of. So let's say that you are on the point and the enemy team is advancing forward. You can't do much to them when you start swinging because you're opening up a massive vulnerability on your team. There's no reason to be aggressive. They're coming in towards you, but your team's just shelling out at them. You want to be protecting them. Another example, this happens a lot on control point maps, happens a lot on payload maps. Let's say there's a big fight all around the payload. Everyone's just moving around the payload and dancing around the payload. That's when you want to start swinging. Because honestly, you aren't going to be protecting much. You're going to be protecting about one person. You swinging across the payload dislodges like Lucios, Tracers, Genjis, stuff that's very evasive and hard to get rid of. You can suddenly be the person getting rid of those. As Reinhardt, you are the best person in the world. Well, maybe Winston might be a little bit better, maybe. But you're very, very good at getting rid of Lucios, Genjis, Tracers stalling around the point or stalling around a payload, that kind of thing. You're so good at doing that. Otherwise, like, if you see an opportunity to land a very short charge, like, you are face-to-face with the enemy Reinhardt, but he's got his back to a wall, charge him, hit him, then bring your barrier back up and let your team finish him. Like, you got to look for small opportunities, and you just got to make sure that you aren't ending up charging and ending up 3 miles from your team in the enemy team where they can just kill you off nice and fast. You don't want to end up in that situation, because if you do, then you've died, and then you fed 500 health of ultimate charge to the enemy team, and your team doesn't have a Reinhardt anymore, so they will lose. How high do the SR rates being the wall? Being the wall will carry you. Being the wall is less effective, like it works on like a normal distribution. It'll be less effective at this kind of bronze level. It will still work if your team plays ball and you're good at sort of encouraging your team to play ball with you and say like, guys, just group up behind me, let's go. If you're good at sort of rallying your team behind you, then it will just instantly work. But otherwise it will work on a bell curve where around bronze and silver and even I'd say like low gold and until like mid gold, individual play will matter leaps and bounds more, and you'll probably get easier, faster climbing out of something like Zarya or Roadhog, just because you will have more individual impact. Where it'll start really working is gold, platinum, even diamond. Just grouping up behind a Reinhardt and doing it properly, advancing properly with a Reinhardt, will work pretty much all the way to masters these days. And you'll be surprised how strong that is when the Reinhardt isn't crazy and just protecting his team. When you start getting towards sort of high diamond, low masters, getting into grandmasters, that's when you will really tell a difference between the Reinhardts who know how to protect, know when to be aggressive, how to use their fire strikes, how to use Earth Shatters, and you'll really start spotting out, okay, this Reinhardt is doing everything fucking right, he's dealing more damage than I am. That's when stuff like, taking the occasional swing and just taking the occasional bat at the enemy team is a really good idea. And honestly, like, that works on a lot of levels. If you are face-to-face with a Reinhardt, just taking the occasional just swat at his face and then stepping back. It gets you a little bit of ult charge, does a bit of damage to him, makes him a little bit nervous as well about coming close to you. All kinds of little things to do. Just make sure that you aren't doing that swatting thing. It's just like doing a fire strike. If there's people behind you and they're relying on you to protect them, don't do that. But when they start getting like face to face, there's a chance that the enemy Reinhardt's looking for that charge. Hey, Anon, tip £5. Anon, is that you, Fuckstorm? I don't know. If it is anonymous, thank you so much anyway. It's hugely appreciated. It's going to the dress fund, which you can see over there. That's slowly crawling up now. What's a good way of practicing charges? Quick play, I'd say. Quick play is probably the best way of doing it. There's no like offline mode for doing it. And just work on it in quick play. You've got to understand like how it works as well, where it's like you can go to like either side and like treat the shoulder pads, treat Reinhardt's shoulder pads. This is the way I think of it, like ramps, right? If someone hits like here, they're gonna get launched. If they get hit here, then they're gonna get caught in the pin. When they get more to the side, that's when they start launching. So that's how I think of it. Any advice on baiting the enemy barrier for Earth Shatter? If you want them to drop the barrier, like a good Reinhardt will just keep I'd say like an average Reinhardt will just keep the barrier up. In which case you just want to be bullying. But it's all about reading your opponent as well and just seeing what they do. So you want to be really drilling into the enemy Reinhardt's head as you are playing. So you want to think about, is he throwing out fire strikes at random? Because if he's doing that, chances are and especially if he's like in, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, even diamond, chances are he might not be doing that in a calculated way. He's just doing it off cooldown, or he's just doing it because he thinks he's got a good opportunity to do it, and so you just want to be keeping an eye on that. It's just less likely he's going to be able to bait you. Otherwise, just keep an eye on the enemy Reinhardt's barrier health. Don't be afraid to nuzzle right into the enemy Reinhardt if you've got an Earth Shatter, because as you saw in this game, if you get past this barrier, you can just Earth Shatter, and you will actually hit him with it as well. So don't be afraid to sort of just push into him, as long as he doesn't have his as well, because otherwise he's sort of trading. But just, don't be afraid to just nuzzle into him and then just push through him and then just Earth Shatter. Because if you do that, then he can't do shit. Otherwise, dropping if you're trying to bait their Earth Shatter as well, and like Ryan could probably write a book on this now. Ryan is really good at doing it. Don't be afraid to drop your barrier and then just bring it back up. You'll be surprised how often people will just react to that. And don't do it instantly, just wait a second. Not a full second, wait half a second. Just bring it down, back up. Because they'll think that you might be fire striking, and they'll think that you might be doing something else, or taking a swing or something, and then you've got the barrier up, and by the time the barrier is up, the cast animation's not all the way through, and suddenly you block the Earth Shatter. Or they think you could be charging. Odds are, when the enemy Reinhardt is got Earth Shatter, he's just thinking Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, Earth Shatter, waiting. And so you just want to try baiting him out, and he'll probably take the bait, or he'll be patient and then wait for you to get the barrier destroyed, in which case then it's up to your team to destroy his barrier and play around that. When your barrier is about to go down, that's when you've got to go for a charge, because if you don't, then your barrier is down, you'll just get Earth Shattered anyway. So you've got to try and catch him with a charge, then it's very difficult. I do recommend going and watching on Overwatch Central's YouTube. They have a video guide with Numlocked, and they also have... I know Ryan likes talking about Reinhardt in general, and also going and watching Being the Wall, but the video in Numlock talks a lot about sort of baiting, shield, bringing it down, that kind of stuff. Bird is a really good soldier as well. Bird is a good soldier as well. How do you be the wall, and how do you improve Shadow Fire Strike aim? You want to be the wall most of the time. You want to be thinking about the biggest source of damage on the enemy team at the moment, or the one that's most threatening to to your team. So if they have a Zarya on high charge, block that. If you're blocking that, then she's not doing anything. She's not contributing. You're just stopping tons and tons of damage coming in. You want to be very careful about, if they have a Widowmaker, then you definitely want to be the wall, because if you start dropping the barrier, she's going to nail someone and kill someone. Stopping Junkrats, Pharahs, that kind of stuff. Try and block as much as you can. But if Pharah's behind you, don't just turn around, because then you're letting 5 other people deal damage to you. Then that's someone else's problem. Just try and think in terms of, where is the damage coming from? Where is the best place for me to block it? Okay, now I'm blocking tons and tons of damage and protecting people, great. Oh no, now there's a clusterfuck fight happening everywhere. I'm only really protecting this guy behind me, and I can kind of do that anyway by just body blocking and just swinging at people and killing them. Then that's more protecting. Then that's doing better. How do you improve Earth Shatter Fire Strike aim? Fire Strike aim is just practice. It's getting used to the projectile speed, just being used to using projectiles. Earth Shatter, just understand the cone. It's quite a wide cone. Thing with Earth Shatter as well, please remember that Earth Shatter goes through payloads, so best way to win on a payload fight is just Earth Shattering across the payload, and you will catch everyone quite often. You'll be shocked about the number of people who try and hide behind a Reinhardt behind the payload, and you just Earth Shatter across it, and then you just swing and kill everything. Really good way of dealing with that. Can you advertise the fact that you're trying to make another OM6 stack? Tom's trying to make another OM6 stack. If you have time to play with him, go play with him. Can you recommend a good Reinhardt streamer to watch? Numlocked, whenever he streams, go watch Numlocked. He's a good friend of ours. Ryan, Overwatch Central. Go and watch Ryan if he starts streaming. Very, very good. Otherwise, any of the main tanks. I'm just going to start listing tanks. Skipjack, Reinforce. Either of those would be very good. Winghaven, although it's probably in Spanish, so I'm not sure. Yeah, tank mains are often quite vocal about being tank mains. The problem with tank mains is they tend not to play tanks when they stream. Numlock is kind of an exception to that. Numlock plays a lot of Reinhardt when he streams, so that would be a very good idea. Did you talk about the Zarya's attitude? Yes, I would. So the Zarya did a weird thing, right, in this game, where it was 5 versus 6, and the Zarya said, yeah, I'm going to go AFK. There's something in your brain that goes, wow, that's noble, isn't it? I still don't like it. I don't like it. And I think it's because my brain is programmed to the point where I think a 5 versus 6 is fair, and let me explain why it's fair before everyone jumps down my throat. It is fair because it happens to everyone. It is fair because, on average, everyone's going to get about the same number of 5 versus 6 games. And so, by going AFK, that guy's basically given up all impact on the game because you guys were winning anyway. It's just him being lazy. And I think when a 5 versus 6 happens, you just want to end it as quickly as possible and just move on to the next game. Like that's always been my thought with a 5 versus 6 is you just end it and move on. And it sucks, but it should never feel normal for someone to go AFK just to be fair to a random chance thing where maybe that guy's power went out, maybe his internet connection randomly died. It happens to everyone. It's a part of playing games on the internet. When it happens, don't freak out. Play the game as normal. It'll happen to someone else just as often. If it's happened to you or if it's happened to them, they're going to get karma back eventually anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. It's so weird. And then what that Zarya also did, which, like, this is the big problem that Zarya did, is he just started antagonizing the team. That's when I would have, like, reported them. Just for AFK, like, report for AFK, report for harassment, report for verbal annoyance, and just keeping the team distracted, because you notice, like, one person was just constantly chatting at them. Not helpful. I don't like it at all. I did not like that at all. Have you done a tracer VOD yet? No, I'll probably do one tomorrow. I've got some tracer footage in tomorrow. I'll probably go over that tomorrow. Certainly I'm ready. Could we get a PvE for Year of the Rooster? I hope so. Hopefully Blizzard will listen. Junkenstein has been the most popular event by far. It could be. But this, considering like how quickly it's coming around after Christmas, I imagine it might just be another small PvP thing. Dixon heard before Rhyme because he's always talking about his decision making. If you know good streamers as well for specific heroes, feel free to share them. See the video on Reddit, the guy playing Junkrat and Junkrat's voice? No, he did not. It's actually somewhat rare that I read the subreddit. Should I play Ryan when trying to climb out of bronze? If you really like playing Ryan, then play Ryan. Is Ryan a good hero to climb? No. And I say that because Reinhardt is, especially in bronze, like Reinhardt is very dependent on the team, and in bronze, people are just playing as individuals. Like, no one is playing in a coherent manner. No one's playing as a team. You get games like this one where people are just running around. It's not sensible. And so you'd be better off playing Roadhog, Zarya, even Winston, for example, would be a better tank. Diva would be very good at the moment. Stuff that can, you can do more on your own rather than relying on the enemy, rather than relying on your team so much. A good Reinhardt can carry in bronze. A very good Reinhardt could do it, but it would be harder. Like, a good Reinhardt and a good Roadhog both start at the same elo. The good Roadhog will climb faster. That make sense? Yeah, it should make sense. On attacking Hanamura, is it effective to have a DPS going for the left balcony area, the rest of the team pushes main or high ground? Yes and no. I'd say actually yes, it is. Like, if you've got a Pharah coming in from the balcony side and everyone's going up towards the high ground, that's very effective because the Pharah could just sort of spam rockets across and just be a general nuisance, stop people crowding around that doorway and waiting. The danger is that the enemy team just engages on you and you're fighting a 5 or 6. So it really needs to be something mobile coming in from that side. There's a reason why I don't like Genji, for example, picking around on that side of Hanamura. Pharah is actually very good at it because she just deals so much damage. Widowmaker's also very good as well because she's just very good at getting on a lightning fast pick. Genji's less so. With Genji, I would actually try and be on the point a little bit more and annoying on the point. Just bouncing around, going on and off the point, picking up the health pack below, picking up the health pack around the underside, like the little cubby hole, and the one below the bridge. And I'll be bouncing between those. Soon if things get really bad, then I'll go to the balcony, pick up the big health pack. But otherwise, I'd just be trying to pull people down off that higher ground and making it a little bit tricky for them. And then when the fight starts, I can just dash in and be a big annoyance there. You know, been watching Overwatch teams too much when you read deleted link as Diva. Look, trust me, I went through it where like YouTube comments were banning Diva and they still do, and it's like there's been spam comments on your video, and I used to click that religiously and go through it and just like not spam, not spam, not spam, not spam, not spam, not spam, because it's Diva, it's Diva, it's Diva. Oh, Jesus. Can you do a Winston custom many? I can do. Do I have Winston footage? I think I do. If you sent in Winston footage, I'll probably get to it at some point. Yeah, I've got some Winston footage. It'll happen at some point. I'm slowly moving through all the heroes. We could do Winston next week, probably. Depending on, actually, the meta should change next week, so that's going to be interesting. We'll see with that. But yeah, I'll go through all the heroes. Like, my knowledge, the thing with me is I've always been good at like general knowledge in the game. I've always had a good idea of, oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing this, and hopefully explaining it in a way that makes sense. And even though like my Winston, for example, isn't great, I know what a Winston should be doing. Like, I know what he should be doing, where he should be, what he should be looking for, the kind of things that he should be planning around. I know that stuff. It's mechanics that have always been my weakness, not so much game knowledge. And that's sort of my strength. Are there any viable strats for using the balcony on point 2 for attack, or is it best to ignore it? Like I said, presenting a fire around there is pretty good. Otherwise, like, the thing is, not everyone can get on there, so that's the reason why I don't like using it so much, because you inevitably end up splitting the team. The only time I'd say it's really, really good is if you have a dive-heavy combat and you've got 2/3 of the point taken, then just going straight onto the point. The amount of times you'll win when it's 2/3 and you just get straight onto the point, the enemy team reacts slowly, and you manage to just cap the point. It's staggering how often that happens. Yeah, I want that Zen skin. Yeah, Zen's got really good skins. Like, it's weird to me, though, because Zen's got good skins, Reinhardt's got good skins, Rolo's got okay skins. I really like this one. Winston's got some pretty good skins, although this one's also good. So it's kind of weird to me that, you know, they're getting more of these skins. But I do like the Zodiac skins. Really cool looking. Now, there was a moment in this video where Reinhardt had his damage shield at the choke when there was only an enemy diva. Is this time fine to drop the shield and take some damage for the healer out charge? And what other times are okay for this to be done? It's more often than you think. Like, I'd say the only time that you need to have the barrier up 100% of the time is if they have like Junkrat, Farah, Widowmaker. If soldiers, Helix, rockets are up, that kind of stuff. Bring it down ever so slightly. And when there's instances where like there is just a diva or just a lone reaper or something that isn't going to like one-shot you, and there's no roadhog around as well. Like, that's the scary time when there's a roadhog around. Bringing the barrier down and every so often bringing it back up is actually a really good idea. Numlock talked about this in the video, where if you have two Reinhardts fighting each other, one Reinhardt is doing like shield flicking, where he's bringing it down and then bringing it back up pretty quickly. So you're not even taking the full time to do a fire strike. You're not letting that much damage through, and you're body blocking most of it. You're trying to physically body block it, take some damage, then bring it back up, and letting your healers generate ult charge. The Reinhardt doing that, his team is getting an advantage. So doing it well and doing it clever is the good idea. It's a more advanced Reinhardt strat, though. You've got to be very aware of enemy cooldowns and what the enemy team's burst damage potential is. Stuff like Helix rockets, grenades coming through, Farah rockets, Hook. Hook is a big, big one. If Hook is down, then it's safe to do it. If Hook is not down and you bring the barrier down and someone gets hooked, your ass is fucking grass. Like, if Overwatch was a business, you would be fired if that happens, because it's just like, it's your job to keep it up. But doing shield flicking is not a bad idea if you are confident in your ability to judge how much damage is coming in, when is it safe to do, when are people topped off enough to do it. Be careful when doing it, and make sure that your healers are aware of it as well. Like, if you are going to try and do that, say to them, okay, I'm going to drop the barrier a little bit and make sure you guys can heal me up, and just pick up a bit of ult charge. And so the healers kind of know to expect it, and they might tuck in a little bit more. And if you are a healer, listen for that sort of thing, and then tuck in behind the Reinhardt. Make sure he's body blocking you from the major damage sources, and then just keep healing him, and just build out your ult super fast. A lot of the time when I play Reinhardt, I have a problem maintaining my shield, as it will often go down in seconds. Shield flickering. It's actually a really good one. Make sure that you don't have it up when you don't need it up. So if there's like a diva 3 miles away and she's just pelting at you, bring the shield down. Like, what damage is she going to do? It's none. Not having it up at pointless times. Like, I see a lot of Reinhardts when like the team is repositioning. Like, let's say, actually, really good example here. I'll bring it back to this video. We go all the way back to this first corner. We actually see it happen here. This position, we stay here way too long. We should actually just cover this, and then we should just tuck in here, because we don't need the barrier up, and your team should actually be pushing this way, because when you do that, the enemy team has to come out here to deal damage to you. So we don't actually need to be stood here, and I see Ryan do this a lot, actually, where he'll cover people on Temple of Anubis. It's tempting to get MS Paint out to try and demonstrate this. But, you know, when Temple of Anubis, you got like the archway, and you got to run in front of the enemy team to get through to the side door. Ryan will put himself in front of the side door and act as a second wall. Hey!
New event skins are cool and all, but I'd love to see Hanzo shoot a rooster out of his bow and go cock-a-doodle-do.
Cock-a-doodle-do. Thank you, Miska. Thank you so much, Miska. It's good to see you watching the stream. Hopefully you enjoy the video, the coaching the many session as well. And yeah, that would actually be pretty freaking awesome. Although then you would have endless jokes about Hanzo's great big cock. Anyway, I was making a point about Temple of Anubis. Like, Ryan will put the barrier up, And as people are tucking behind him, and he'll just keep it up and wait for everyone to go through. And by the time they do, his barrier's like lost 1,500 health. I think he actually overstays there, and he could afford to just body block the last couple of shots and then tuck in around. Like, you've just got to be very aware of your barrier as a resource, and when it starts getting down to about 1,000, then you want to be thinking of opportunities to hide and regenerate it. You don't want to be dropping more than like 1,000 regularly unless there's like a really big fight happening, a stall happening, actual things happening. If you're preparing, definitely don't let it drop over under 1,000. And if the enemy team's applying pressure and you start dropping below 1,000, then make sure your team knows. Say, barrier 1,000, barrier 500, I'm going to move back. Don't let it shatter, because when it shatters, then you're at the mercy of a cooldown. Are we looking to set up a Twitch channel for our 6-stack? Do you know anyone who can make us some basic graphics we have in mind? Miska's not cheap. I don't know. Like, making graphics isn't as hard as you think if you've got like Photoshop or GIMP. If you've got GIMP, I think GIMP is free, isn't it, as well? Get a hold of that. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, I do all my own graphics, and I learn to do my own. And as you can probably tell, I do my own graphics because they're not as amazing as some other people's, but I have fun doing them. And honestly, it could just be fun doing them as well. Ask around the channel, ask around the community, ask around OWC's community as well. Maybe someone can do it for you. Yeah. Let's see, any tips about how to deal with the flaming toxicity teammates when you pick a non-meta hero? It's difficult, and the best way to do it, the best way I found to do it by far is just to say, let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, I'll swap. And stick to that. If you pick a non-meta hero and say, yeah, but I want to play, I'm good at this, I want to play this. If it doesn't work, I'll swap. People usually go, oh, okay. And if they don't, then just fuck them. Fuck them. Unless you are playing at like high masters, low grandmasters, high masters and above, meta can kind of just go out the window. And honestly, like, it depends on the hero, but there are some heroes that are like semi-meta. Like Pharah is semi-meta, Genji is semi-meta. Like, you can get away with playing those heroes. Tracer, semi-meta. Genji, there's instances, where Genji's just going to be fucking terrible, but there's going to be instances where Genji's great. And so there are heroes you can play who aren't going to be meta. And even if it's like a Junkrat, and you're like, I don't know what level you're at. PK, B, F, cool. I don't know what level you're playing at, but if you're playing at like, bronze, silver, gold, I'd even say platinum, like Junkrat still isn't a bad idea. People still walk into Junkrat traps. People will get freaked out by Junkrat's damage. And just say, if it don't work, I'll swap. And if it doesn't work, swap. If you can't do anything, swap. Then play a meta hero and then say, okay, no. And you'll be surprised how well people respond to that. It's when you get, like, when someone says, oh, yeah, we should and people normally do it like this, right? And I do this as well. It's like, yeah, we should really probably just have a soldier. And, they just they generally just nudge you. And you go, well, I think this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, I'll swap. I'll swap to soldier. And you'll be surprised. And then if you're not getting any kills, or you're not doing any damage, or you're not doing your job, yeah, just swap. Who's best at breaking Reinhardt's shield? Roadhog is the most common one. I mean, Junkrat does it in no time at all as well. Reaper's pretty good at it. But it's like, there are heroes that want to be shooting the barrier more than others. The people that should be prioritizing shooting the barrier are Roadhog, Reaper, Junkrat. Pharah should be shooting the barrier quite a fair amount. Pharah's a bit of a special case because she can move around a lot, but if there's nothing better to do, shoot the barrier. Soldier should be shooting the barrier. Hanzo should be pelting as many arrows as he can into it, but it's not massively priority for him. And just anyone in general, like, if you've got nothing else to shoot at, shoot the barrier, for the love of God. Roadhog's definitely just really good at it. Diva's really good at it as well, if you can get in close enough. Is there an up-to-date website to give us the hard numbers for DPS, HPS? My normal source is... Let me see. Let's see when this was last updated on a Google sheet. You'll soon permanently lose access. Ooh. Yeah, okay, I guess that's out of date. The oversheet's out of date. I'm guessing the wikis might have something. If you type in Overwatch wiki, I've just kind of learned it. And if you are curious about how something works, or like the damage value, don't be afraid of going into practice range and just try it. Each little module on a bot is 25 hit points. So you can just sort of calculate off that. Otherwise, DPS heals per second. Numbers off the top of my head, Mercy is 50 heals per second, Zenyatta is 30 heals per second. I think Lucio Idol is like 25 heal per second. Lucio Heal Boost is like 40 heal per second. I think. I'm not sure on Lucio's number specifically. Anna pumping into a target is normally about 90 heals per second, so about 90 heals per second, not exactly, I think. So when she's got a grenade on someone, it's like 180 heals per second. Transcendence is 300 heals per second. Yeah, that's about it for that. Winston's about 54 DPS per second. Torbjorn Turret about 54 DPS per second. Don't think there's anything else that you really need to know. Zarya at high charge. Can't tell you off the top of my head, but it's high. Very high. Yeah, I think that's most things you could need to know, but I'm sure there's a wiki website with it all on. Is Reinhardt a good hero to climb out of bronze with? No. Because, like I said before, you'd be better off playing a hero that can do more independently. How do you keep track of where people are behind you? You can't. And if you are playing in a team, like, if you're playing on a team and you keep seeing, like, Reinhardt walking off into the distance, don't be afraid to tell Reinhardt, hey, Reinhardt, man, there's no one behind you. Like, the Reinhardt doesn't have a fucking rear view mirror. He doesn't know. So someone else has got to tell him. Otherwise, just try and keep track of, like, how many bullets do you see flying past you? Are you seeing people in front of you? Like, that's always a good sign. Resist the temptation as much as you can to turn around. What I usually do is before I turn a corner or something, I'll generally swing around to look, and then I'll turn back. And that's how I do that. Does Fire Strike damage the barrier? Yes, it does. Winston Tesla. I'm not sure if Winston's Tesla damages the barrier, actually. I'm not sure. I think it might, but basically any damage that goes through it also usually damages the barrier. XQC is good and streams often. Another good solid choice. All control point maps are Ryan friendly. Pretty much all of them. Control point maps especially. I'd say Hanamura, yeah. Hanamura point B used to be bad, but then people just normalized pushing on the high ground. Reinhardt's really good at contesting that, so it's still fine there. Really good on Temple of Anubis. Really good on even like Eichenwald, King's Row. Reinhardt's just good. He's just good all around. Very rare instances when you don't want to play him. The only time you don't want to play Reinhardt is if you're playing a team lineup that doesn't stay behind you. So like a dive comp like Tracer Genji, for example, you're not going to be protecting anyone. You're going to be just you and two supports, and that's not really useful. So you might as well be playing Winston or Zarya or Roadhog or D.Va, stuff that's more independent, can move around a bit more. That's when Reinhardt's less useful. If they ever made maps that are more open spaced, so I'd say like Oasis on the city center point, for example, is very bad for Reinhardt because it's just very open. Like that's an example of a map that isn't Reinhardt friendly. Nepal Sanctum as well. Like there are tight spaces for the Reinhardt to go into, but I've never been that keen on him on that map. That's just me, just because when you get into the actual control point room itself, it's just a big open space. So yeah, that's why. Tyrant in for Reinhardt. Better not recommend a Mima for education. I haven't watched that much Tyrant, so I don't know. I can't comment on how good he is. But like Ryan's pretty damn solid as well. Ryan's also good at explaining himself. A rear view mirror, like it would be nice, but it might be just pushing it. On average, you get one lever on the enemy team for every 10 on my team. Yeah, it can feel like that. I question the numbers, but you could be an outlier, and if it happens, it feels bad. Further to question above, should Reinhardt have a reverse strikes out when he's backing up? Yes. Possibly indicators? Definitely. I would love to have a button that just says, I'm fire striking now. I'm dropping the barrier now. Like, hero-specific communications wheel would be really nice. I'd love to send Coaching the Many, but my PC is too weak at the moment. It's okay, man. I hope to be doing this series for frickin' years, so I'll wait. We don't need to listen to Bronze. It's been 30 minutes now. Yeah. I think we can actually wrap it up now. So I'm going to just finish up on Coaching the Many because Q&A has been going for a long time and I need to cut myself short on these anyway. And yeah, good stuff. If you do want to send footage into Coaching the Many, it's !coaching, and I'm just going to scroll all the way back. So if you do want to send your footage in, you can see it all on here. Send your footage to oamreviews@gmail.com. Include the hero name and the rank in the title. Plus, if you are a Twitch subscriber, because they paid a little bit of money to support everything. Make sure you put that in the title as well. For example, this man here, Mr. Leidenbrock, was a Twitch sub. So yeah, definitely include that in the title as well. Include a little description of what happened there. Maybe a couple of thoughts about the game. You know, I felt lost. I didn't know what I was doing here. I wasn't sure about this. I wasn't sure about my ults. That kind of thing. It just helps me funnel the coaching session a bit. And yeah, should be good. Any resolution requirements? 720p or higher would be good. And higher bitrate, the better. Like if you have Shadowplay, just use like high settings on Shadowplay. A+. You played £215 so far? Yeah, no, that's to get me an address. Bloody hell. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we should be doing more of it tomorrow. Do feel free to come by the Twitch stream as well. We do Coaching the Many every Friday and Saturday at 10 p.m. GMT. That's 2300 CET, and that's about 2 p.m. in California. And I'm sure you can work out from California because a lot of shit happens in America in California anyway, so work it out yourselves from there. Yeah, thanks for watching the end. Bye. Doodles. Boom.